to be done.
We are seeing way too many of these.
New details this morning on the victims, the shooter, and survivors of the worst school shooting since Sandy Hook.
We just hear all kinds of gunshots going off, like nonstop, like constantly gunshots. And then we're over here all scared on the ground, fearing for our lives.
Just a tragic day in our nation at the start of summer break. I'm Jessica Crawford.
And I'm Nicole Brady. We are getting to the latest on the shooting, the investigation, and some stories of the heroes in just a few moments here. First, outside, we have a live look from our Mile High camera. A little bit of sun finally peeking out. We've had a kind of cloudy, gloomy couple of days, Lisa.
Yeah, it's been wet. Quite a bit of snow in the mountains, too. Today, just the opposite. Lots of sunshine. You're right. Mid to upper 40s right now here in town. So things already starting to warm up. The winds are right now pretty calm, but they're going to pick up a little. It'll be a touch breezy this afternoon. Lakewood 46 right now. Firestone, you're at 44. Aurora currently 41. Still some upper 20s to low 30s in the mountains. But take a look at our highs today. We're going to go from near 40 now to about 30, 32 degrees warmer by this afternoon. So it's going to be one of the warmest days we've seen in quite some time. Boulder 70, Highlands Ranch 68 today, and in Keensburg a high of 73. Statewide warmer there too. More 50s and 60s for the Central Mountains today. Now skies are clear today. We are tracking a better chance for some afternoon thunderstorms in the mountains starting Saturday, down here across the plains by Sunday. I'll take a closer look at your Super 7 day, especially coming in on a big holiday weekend, Jason, coming up.
And right now we have a pretty heavy drive up to the north side. I-25 is really crowded from the north side all the way to downtown and then beyond. We also still have quite a bit of traffic southbound Washington Street. A lot of folks like to use this to get to 58th Avenue and then join I-25 or just go all the way to downtown. But use Conifer instead on the other side of the west side of I-25 that turns into Broadway and head south, because Washington we have a crash at 74th. So, and then with York Street unable to use because of the construction up there, Washington carries extra traffic right now. You can see how heavy I-70 is, really crowded getting on over to I-25. Maybe 56th Avenue if that's too far north, and 47th Avenue or even the drive on Colfax could help you out. 225 is busy. You can see the drive downtown to the Denver Tech Center. Cherry Creek High School graduation is going on right now, so it's real busy around the Stutler Bowl and Yosemite.
This scene has become too common in this country. Police responding to a mass shooting at a school. At least 19 children and 2 teachers were killed by a teen gunman.
And we continue to learn more about the incident this morning. ABC News is now reporting that the shooter's grandfather says that his grandson lived with him and that he had no idea the guns were in his house. And he doesn't know how the teenager got them. He didn't know how to drive. He didn't have a driver's license. He had lived with his grandparents since February when he had a falling out with his mother. The gunman's grandfather said there were no signs anything was out of the ordinary yesterday. He told ABC News there had been a minor argument over payment of a phone bill, but he didn't think that was a big deal. Also this morning, we're learning more about the victims. Just a few of the 21 have been identified by family members so far.
This is 10-year-old Amerie Jo Garcia. She had a birthday 2 weeks ago. Her father, Angel, is in this photo with her. He released a statement saying parents shouldn't take a second with their kids for granted. And here's a picture of Xavier Lopez. His family says that his mom had just attended an award ceremony for him just a few hours before the shooting. She did not know that it would be the last time that she would see him. The Associated Press identified a third child victim overnight as Uzia Garcia. His grandfather said that he was the sweetest little boy that he had ever known. And we've learned that Eva Mireles is one of 2 teachers who were killed. She was a 4th grade teacher at the school. She had been with the district for about 17 years. The shooting happened as the school year was winding down. Summer break was supposed to start for them Friday.
Yeah, instead now the district is offering grief counseling. Amy Robach has more on the tragedy in Texas.
This morning, the devastating new details after a gunman opened fire here at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas.
We need to respond to South Grove and Mill Street to establish a perimeter.
19 students and 2 teachers killed.
My heart was broken today. We're a small community, and we'll need your prayers to get us through this.
Before entering the school, gunman 18-year-old Salvador Ramos, a student at Uvalde High School, shot his grandmother at her residence. She is now in critical condition.
We were the first ones to hear the gunshot. We're right behind her house.
Shortly after, the suspect crashed his car outside of the school premises where he engaged with law enforcement. Then, at 11:32 a.m. Central Time, the suspect, wearing body armor, abandoned his vehicle and entered the school, where second, third, and fourth graders were in the middle of the school day. The gunman opening fire as soon as he stepped on school grounds. Students reportedly scrambling out of windows to escape.
We just hear all kinds of gunshots going off, like nonstop, like constantly gunshots. And then we're over here all scared on the ground, fearing for our lives.
Fourth grader Jordan Legis telling ABC News about the moments when the gunman began firing shots at his classroom.
When he sees the students and our teacher, that's when he starts shooting at the window and the wall right there. So he starts shooting it all up. All kinds of smoke is like in the room as we're in there.
Authorities confirming the suspect was armed with an AR-15 style rifle. Sources telling ABC News all the victims at the school died in the same location inside the school. Officers arrive on the scene and begin exchanging gunfire with the shooter, while some parents rush toward the scene in desperation. 2 officers injured, but sustaining non-life-threatening injuries. The gunman fatally shot by police. A community now grieving as families mourn the lives of those lost. And in an address to the nation, President Biden offering any and all assistance.
I'd hoped when I became president I would not have to do this again. Another massacre. How many scores of little children who witness what happened see their friends die as if they're on a battlefield, for God's sake? They'll live with the rest of their lives.
This morning, you'll notice flags flying at half-staff here in Colorado and around the country as the nation mourns with Uvalde, Texas. Earlier on Denver 7, we spoke with Frank DeAngelis, the principal of Columbine High School in 1999 during the shooting there. He has spent his life since then helping support communities and hoping to prevent future tragedies.
Frank, thank you so much for joining us early this morning. And we know your perspective obviously is important here. What was your initial response and thoughts after hearing the news yesterday?
Oh, just disbelief. Every time my phone starts exploding with text, in my thoughts and prayers, and then within a few minutes I get a call from the media and I know exactly why the call is coming in, and it takes you back. In Columbine, it's been 23 plus years, and it just takes you back to that day. And with what happened yesterday at Uvalde, Texas, just took me back. I remember where I was when Sandy Hook occurred, and so just re-traumatizes people.
Yeah, I think after so many years of trying to do something about this, some people might start to feel hopeless. You have not taken that route, and you're still working on preventing a future tragedy. Tell us about that.
Well, it was a situation after Columbine, and every community I go to, they tell me the same thing, that I can't believe it happened here. And if you would have told me it would happen at Columbine, I would have said no way. And I'm a person of faith, and one of the reasons I continue to do what I'm doing is I was struggling, needless to say, and the priest over at St. Francis Cabrini called me down and he said, Frank, and I was in front of a bunch of parishioners and my kids from Columbine and staff members, said, Frank, you should have died that day, but God's got a plan. Now you need to go rebuild that Columbine community and continue to help others. So I took that to heart. And fortunately, I made a comment right after Columbine happened. I said, I just joined a club in which no one wants to be a member, no one wants to join. And so I make a promise to help these people that go through similar situations.
Obviously, it's such a range of emotions right now. There's a lot of sadness, there's a lot of anger, confusion. What have you seen that helps communities recover from situations like this, not only where it occurred in Uvalde, but other school communities?
Well, I think what happens is last night, or when we started hearing the news, every person, in the United States, around the country, is wondering, could this happen at my school? As I'm sure when their kids came home last night, they gave them that extra special hug because we all lived through it, whether it be as our own kids, our grandkids, nieces and nephews. And I think there is a range of emotion. And one of the things that I learned pretty early on, we could all experience the same event, but how we deal with it, we deal with it differently. And we had people that were very emotional and wanted to talk. And others said, the more I talk about it, the more I see media things, that is not helping me heal. So we got to be willing to respect where everyone is, because everyone heals differently. And I think that's so important. And if I can give a piece of advice to the people, not only in Texas where the shooting occurred, but around the country, is get that support that you need. Fortunately, I received a phone call within 24 hours from a dear friend of mine who was a Vietnam veteran. And he said, Frank, if you don't help yourself, you're not going to be able to help others. So I sought counseling. And counseling was not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength.
We need every bit of that to help all of us at all ages right now. Frank DeAngelis, we so appreciate your perspective on this and words that we hope can help heal.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Still ahead this morning, our coverage of the tragedy in Texas continues. The one thing we all can do in efforts to prevent incidents like this in our own communities. We'll be following this story as it develops on air on the denverchannel.com and on the mobile app.